podcast. With Low Jackson, rewire the mind. Yeah, the thoughts keep flashing. 60,000 strong, we just keep on growing. Emotional intelligence, a vibe keep flowing. You only podcast, one mind, one show. Awareness in your soul, let the knowledge just grow. You only podcast. With Low Jackson, rewire the mind. Yeah, the thoughts keep flashing. 60,000 strong, we just keep on growing. Emotional intelligence.
You only get one life. You only get one chance to flow. You only. Dive in fully. Today on the You Only podcast, we will be going over the psychology of optimal experience, or flow, a book by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
We see creativity spike 400 to 700% in flow. Similarly, there's an enormous spike in overall life satisfaction, well-being, sometimes happiness. In fact, this is so profound that when psychologists now define happiness, they actually talk about 3 tiers of happiness. There's just sort of normal happiness. This is how do you feel right here, right now, in the moment. The next level up is just defined as engagement or enjoyment. And this is literally a high flow lifestyle. You are living in such a way that you're dropping into flow all the time. This could mean you have a job like mine, writing, where it's really flowy. It drops me into flow a lot. Or this could mean I live in Tahoe. A lot of the people are kind of around me. They work construction all summer, so they can ski all winter. And construction is a little flowy for them, but the skiing is really flowy. That's a high flow lifestyle. The best we get to feel on the planet is purpose. And this is literally a high flow lifestyle where the thing that's producing flow, or one of the things that's producing flow, is linked to a cause greater than yourself. So when we talk about flow amplifying overall meaning and life satisfaction and well-being, it's a big deal. In fact, studies have shown that the people who score off the charts for these characteristics, who score off the charts for well-being and life satisfaction, are the people with the most flow in their lives.
Chapter 1. Happiness and the Mind. MC explains that happiness isn't something that just happens. It is something we actively create by immersing ourselves in meaningful, engaging activities.
When you're in a true state of creation, this amazing thing happens. You forget about yourself. You become selfless. You become nobody. You become no thing. You become no time. And when you do that properly, where you begin to speculate a new possibility and you begin to invent a new way of being, or you begin to create something in your mind, the forebrain turns on, the crowning achievement of the human being. And it begins to lower the volume to time and space, so that the only thing that's real in that moment is a thought. And when that happens, the brain captures the thought as the experience, then upscales the hardware to install the neurological circuits and change the brain ahead of the actual event. And
this is not about temporary pleasure, but a deep, lasting sense of fulfillment. The brain is wired to reward sustained engagement with activities that stretch our skills, which release dopamine and endorphins, chemicals that reinforce positive emotions and motivation. Essentially, the more we engage fully in activities that challenge us just enough, the more we train our mind to express happiness as a skill. People who experience flow regularly report 37% higher life satisfaction, 50% lower depression and anxiety symptoms.
Most people don't know this, but there's a brain structure called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. But what's interesting about this brain area is there are now a lot of data in humans showing that when people do something they don't want to do, like add 3 hours of exercise per day or per week, or when people who are trying to diet and lose weight resist eating something. When people do anything that they don't want to do, it's not about adding more work, it's about adding more work that you don't want to do. This brain area gets bigger. Now, here's what's especially interesting about this brain area to me. And by the way, I'm only learning this recently because it's new data, but there's a lot of it. The anterior mid-cingulate cortex is smaller in obese people. It gets bigger when they diet. It's larger in athletes. It's especially large or grows larger in people that see themselves as challenged and overcome some challenge. And in people that live a very long time, this area keeps its size. In many ways, scientists are starting to think of the anterior mid-cingulate cortex not just as one of the seats of willpower, but perhaps actually the seat of the will to live.
Workplace studies show employees frequently achieve flow, are twice as productive, and 40% more engaged in their roles. Here's a personal insight. Therapists use behavioral activation therapy to help clients combat depression by scheduling structured, rewarding activities. Positive psychologists often incorporate flow exercises, guiding clients to identify tasks that absorb attention and provide intrinsic reward. Coaches use similar techniques to boost performance and resilience, showing clients that happiness can be systematically cultivated, not left to chance. Here's a self-help tip. Start a flow diary. I always encourage you guys to have a type of diary, but start a flow diary based on this book. Record moments when you felt completely absorbed today. Note the activity, your skill level, and how challenging it was. Over a week, patterns will emerge to guide you towards activities that reliably produce deep engagement. And that's what chapter 1 was really all about. You only get one life. You only get one chance to flow. You only. Dive in fully. Chapter 2 discusses the anatomy of consciousness. Consciousness, the state of being aware, is the playground where flow happens. MC explains that where we place our attention shapes our experience of reality. When we focus deeply on a task that balances challenge and skill, the brain temporarily reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, a phenomenon called transient hypofrontality. This reduces self-doubt, overthinking, and internal criticism, allowing peak performance and full absorption. In simpler terms, your mind stops interfering with itself, and you feel completely in the zone. Neuroimaging studies reveal that during flow, attention networks and reward circuits are fully activated. Individuals maintain focus 2 to 3 times longer and report higher engagement and motivation, even in repetitive or demanding tasks. Therapists and coaches use mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, or MBCT, and attention control exercises to train clients to focus on the present moment. Focusing on a single task repeatedly builds attentional resilience. And we talked about resilience in my last episode, which is linked to improved productivity, emotional regulation, and reduced anxiety. Practice single tasking for 25 to 30 minutes. Remove distractions. No phones, no computers, set a clear goal, and note your level of focus. Gradually increase duration and observe how your mind adapts to sustainable attention. Chapter 3, Enjoyment and the Quality of Life. True enjoyment and fulfillment occur when the difficulty of a task matches or slightly exceeds your skill level. If a task is too easy, we feel bored. Too hard, we feel anxious. MC calls this the sweet spot, or the flow channel. The brain rewards us when we stretch just enough. Neurochemicals released during this state promote learning, memory, intrinsic motivation. In essence, happiness comes from engaging challenges, not passive comfort. Studies show flow occurs most often when challenges are 10 to 20% above current skill level. Workers in flow conducive roles showed 31% higher productivity, 50% higher engagement, and report feeling a stronger sense of accomplishment. Coaches and positive psychologists use challenge skill matching to design tasks, hobbies, or career paths that maintain engagement without triggering overwhelm. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, also encourages graded exposure to challenge in a controlled way to increase confidence and resilience. Pick a task today that stretches your skills slightly and try this each day you wake up. Track both challenge and enjoyment. Adjust difficulty next time. Consistently hit your personal flow zone. Adjust difficulty next time to consistently hit your personal flow zone. Thank you guys for listening to the You Only podcast. I'm Lo Jackson, and hopefully you're enjoying flow. Chapter 4, the conditions of flow. Flow doesn't just happen randomly. It requires 3 conditions: clear goals, immediate feedback, and deep concentration. Clear goals give your mind direction. Immediate feedback tells your brain how well you are performing. Concentration ensures full immersion. When these align, your brain engages fully and you experience effortless control, time distortion, or intrinsic satisfaction. Teams with these conditions report 35% higher morale and 27% higher performance. Individuals experience greater persistence and lower fatigue in long-term projects. Therapists use goal-setting interventions, and coaches apply SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. And a lot of colleges teach students SMART goals because it teaches you how to structure your courses to achieve that goal of passing. And SMART, it's to structure flow-friendly tasks, feedback loops, self-monitoring or mentor feedback, reinforcement, motivation, and mastery. Here's a self-help tip. Choose one task today, set a micro goal, and check progress every 15 to 20 minutes. Celebrate small wins to sustain focus. And small wins are so important when it comes to goals because, like I've said in several other episodes, small, every single day, little micro wins leads up to that one huge goal being a victory. And in chapter 5, the body and flow. Flow is not just mental, it's embodied. Movement, coordination, and rhythm help the brain enter immersive states. MC shows that physical skilled tasks like sports, dancing, or hands-on crafts activate reward circuits, improve attention, and lower stress. The body and mind are intertwined. When the body is engaged and challenged appropriately, the mind follows into full immersion. Athletes practice deliberate movement for 20 to 40 minutes to improve focus by 15 to 25%. Cortisol decreases, dopamine and endorphins rise, reinforcing a sense of competence and pleasure, which those areas of the brain are the opioid receptors being activated, the feel good, the runner's high. Sports psychologists use deliberate practice techniques, breaking skills into measurable components, focusing attention, and tracking progress. Somatic therapists incorporate movements to help clients regulate emotion and increase engagement. Engage in a 20-minute focused activity today: running, dancing, or a craft. Pay attention to skill refinement, rhythm, and coordination to trigger flow, because that's what this book is about, is learning how to get your flow started, mentoring your flow, understanding your flow, how your flow works at work, how your flow works in the body. In chapter 6, work and flow. Even mundane work can be deeply satisfying when structured for flow. By setting challenges that match skills, defining clear goals, and tracking progress, even repetitive tasks become meaningful. This approach transforms from obligation into purposeful engagement. Employees in Flow report 44% less burnout, 41% higher job satisfaction, and 2 to 3 times higher productivity. Long term, this reduces turnover and increases personal fulfillment. Career coaches advise aligning tasks with intrinsic motivators and using flow principles to divide work into manageable chunks. And for us humans, being overwhelmed in today's world is very easy. So dividing work into manageable chunks is understandable. Therapists also use behavioral activation and workplace stress interventions, encouraging clients to focus on tasks that provide immediate intrinsic reward. So here's a self-help tip. Select one task each day this week for a deep focus session. Eliminate distractions and track your engagement and progress in the journal that you started. So chapter 7 is leisure and flow is really what it speaks about. And leisure activities are more than fun. They develop skill, mastery, and absorption, essential for well-being. Activities that fully engage your attention provide intrinsic reward, build competence, and reinforce resilience. People dedicate 3 to 5 hours to hobbies a week report 30% higher well-being and lower stress, heart rate, and cortisol levels. Creative engagement enhances neuroplasticity, improving problem-solving and adaptability. From a professional insight, therapists recommend structured leisure for clients recovering from burnout or depression. Coaches guide clients to choose activities that are challenging enough to engage attention, fostering growth and confidence. So, another self-help tip could be scheduling a 1 to 2 hour time this week for a hobby or a creative pursuit. Focus fully on skill building rather than passive consumption. Chapter 8, I felt like was life and flow, integrating flow into daily life and the key, or excuse me, is the key to deep fulfillment. When we intentionally structure our days to include challenging, absorbing activities, mental, physical, or creative, we train the brain to experience meaning and happiness consistently. Over time, this builds resilience, motivation, and emotional regulation because you're hardwiring all the parts of the brain that are being separated from our own ways that we're not understanding because we are out of flow. We're not in flow with this stuff. So thank you guys for listening to the You Only podcast. And people practicing flow weekly, they report 20 to 30% higher life satisfaction, stronger emotional resilience, and better stress management. And positive psychologists recommend daily intentional engagement and planning for absorption. CBT and positive interventions encourage clients to build micro habits around flow, gradually increasing frequency and intensity. You need to identify 3 activities this week that fully absorb you. Schedule them intentionally and reflect afterward on mood, energy, and sense of purpose. And I felt like that will bring this book full circle if you do read it. Remember, you only get one life. You only get one chance to flow. You only. Dive in fully. Match your skills to your challenges. Focus completely and live fully immersed. Your brain, your happiness, and your future self will thank you. Please continue sharing me, following me. I'm on TikTok, YouTube. I'm out there on Audible now. Again, fans, thank you so much for helping the podcast grow. I do appreciate each and every one of you.
Yeah, the thoughts keep flashing. 60,000 strong, we just keep on growing. Emotional intelligence and vibe keep flowing. You only podcast, one mind, one show. Awareness in your soul, let the knowledge just grow. You only podcast with Low Jackson, rewire the mind. Yeah, the thoughts keep flashing. 60,000 strong, we just keep on growing. Emotional intelligence and vibe keep flowing. You only podcast, one mind, one show. Awareness in your soul, the knowledge just grow. máximo do